How we doing, Dodger fans? Dodgers drop 1-7-1 to the hated Giants up in San Francisco today, getting swept by them. But hey, we're going to the playoffs. We'll put a button on the regular season and look ahead to the NLDS all this week on Dodgers Wrap 360.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
You gotta love the Randy Newman,
Right? You know?
How many Oscars does he win? Like 10?
Is that true?
I know. I know he's been nominated like 20 times. That I'm not exaggerating.
We haven't been playing this one as of late. Dodgers getting swept by the Giants, dropping 5 out of the last 6.
Yeah, not a limping into the playoffs.
I know, limping in. What's up, Dodger fans? Alongside Joshua Gershon, I am Mike Conley. This is another edition of Dodgers Wrap 360. Thanks for tuning in for us. This is our weekly rudderless discussion on all things Dodgers. If you want to join that rudderless discussion, hit us up on our YouTube page in the chat room. Just youtube.com and /AfterBuzz TV, and then click into Dodgers Wrap 360, or you can hit up Josh on his Twitter. Josh, what's your Twitter?
My Twitter is at Gersh, GERSH13. That is my Instagram as well.
Oh yeah. You know, it's kind of, they are limping in, and it's kind of going out with the whimper. You know, getting swept by the Giants, and if they could have taken one game, they could have eliminated the Giants from playoff contention. It's kind of a missed opportunity.
It is a little bit. The trouble is, I mean, pick your poison. You want to face potentially the Giants in the playoffs or the Cardinals, who flat out own you in the playoffs. It did push the Cardinals out.
It did.
So,
I think, you know who's really happy about that?
Kershaw?
Well, Kershaw, but the Cubs.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know,
yeah.
because much like kind of the, big brother thing the Giants have over us with winning World Series in the past, recently, and the Dodgers not winning them and being in the same division. The Cubs Cardinals kind of have that same relationship. You know?
Yeah.
So, and another opportunity that went by the boards is they maybe could have got home field advantage for the NLDS.
Yeah, and that was still a bit of a long shot, but
Yeah.
because they would have had to have taken all 3 games, and Washington would have had to lose all 3 games.
But I mean, they if they didn't drop 2 out of 3 in the previous series,
Yeah,
too,
against the Padres.
Yeah. So it's 5 out of 6. It's if you win 5 out of those 6, maybe it's.
I think it was
a discussion.
You combine Vinny's last game, that Sunday, the walk-off. It's his last home game. I think that was just so much that they just needed to relax for a bit, and they still had games to play, unfortunately. And they did. I think that you could kind of tell there was a lot of lethargic movement out there, and guys just kind of being like, we're here, we already won. What does it matter? Can we catch the Nationals? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean,
some guys were auditioning for a playoff spot. On that roster.
That's for sure. And those guys tried to bring it. It's just a question of, we'll have to get into this. Who we think will actually be on that roster.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't know who that 4th starter is going to be.
Right.
I don't. For a second I thought it was McCarthy, but he pitched so bad in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know about that. Maybe they throw De Leon. Didn't pitch that great either.
Yeah.
In his last start, Urias not just okay. It's that 4th spot now is really a question, because we know for sure no Kazmir.
Right.
We know for sure. Well, no Bud Norris, which at one time we both thought that was,
could have been.
It was such a great,
good depth
it was a
pickup.
great move, and then they released him. You got, I doubt they'll throw Stripling or Stewart out there. Even if I don't even know if either of those guys will be on the roster. It's just it is a real question mark right now.
Yeah, I mean, they were relying so much on youth this season. It's they got a bunch of guys that are on innings limits. You want to take it easy with those guys you mentioned: Stripling, Stewart, Urias, and De Leon. I think I'd like to see De Leon in there for that 4th spot, but
I would like Urias out of the bullpen. I really would.
I do too. But when you look at his numbers through starting and then the bullpen is splits. He's been much better as a starter.
He has, yeah.
So, I mean, I definitely want him in the mix somewhere because, I mean, he's a stud. I mean, I'd want him in that 4th slot if the kid wasn't 20. And we have to preserve him because, you know.
Hey, Dwight Goodenham out there, man. Just
just keep, you know.
Of course, as we found out
Keep
later.
cutting up the rails and throwing them out there.
When you're on the cocaine, it's easy to pitch 300 innings.
That's Stark Ellis. Oh, man. So, yeah, I mean, it's a new season, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't play again until Friday, so it's like even if they came in hot and won 5 out of his last 6, it's not like momentum is going to survive a 4-day layoff.
The Royals came in limping last year. The Royals really limped into the playoffs last year, and everyone was like, oh, they're limping into the playoffs, and it didn't matter once the playoffs started.
Yeah.
So
it's like, you know, it's not like football where each week you have off that week no matter what.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like like a second all-star break, you know. But
we do get the matchup of Gershon Scherzer. I'm sure will be the game 1 matchup.
yes.
Luckily a righty, not a lefty.
Right. So that's good. And you know, as draws go, it's not bad because you know, what's his name's hurt.
Ramos is out. He's out.
Right.
Strasburg's hurt.
Yep.
They don't believe he's going to pitch. Murphy is coming off injury. So he hasn't swung.
He's going to go though.
Yeah, but he hasn't swung a bat in a month.
Oh, really? It's that long?
Yeah, he's been out for a while.
Wow.
So maybe not, but it's been at least 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So he's been out for a while. You got Harper's now dinged up. Hurt his hand recently this last week.
Has he been coming out of his like second half funk?
No, he's still hitting 250.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't figure that out.
No, especially with how good he was last year.
Yeah.
Just stellar, so stellar last year.
And really got out. It looked like he was just going to continue it right on.
Yeah.
You know, he was money the first 2 months of the season, first 3 months of the season. And then just, I wonder what happened to that guy. That's kind of crazy. But anything, we talked a little bit about, you know, as being the big Redheads final game this week. Last week to the show in his final home game. And, you know, I mean, the guy's just, you know, exudes class and is everything good about the game of baseball. And, you know, he classily goes out today, you know, obviously given a Irish blessing. You gotta love that one, you know. As an Irishman myself, I give him props for that. But any Vin stories, as a guy that's, you know, been a staunch follower of the Dodgers for half of Vin's 67 years covering him, what do you like about him?
Well, we used to go when we first got season tickets. We used to go with my neighbor and his dad. We used to go a lot, and his dad was the guy that always wore the headphones, so you could listen to Vinny during the game.
Oh yeah,
you know, so we would be able to listen during the games. I mean, to me, the second you heard it, that was summer. That was summer's here, baseball's here.
yeah.
You know, everything. Just the second you just hear him say, you know, good afternoon, you're just in.
Yeah.
You're drawn into it. You know, it's you know, for generations. I mean, my dad grew up listening to him. I grew up listening to him. I'm sure many people 3-4 generations grew up listening to him.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just it's sad just because he's been here for so long, and he to me he represents the best of LA.
Right.
Like he's the best of Los Angeles, even though he's not from here. But you know, he's lived here a lot longer than he lived in Brooklyn. So that's how, to me, he's the best of Los Angeles. For someone who was born and raised here, you know, that's the best of LA.
Yeah.
You know, that to me, that's always what he is. Plus, you know, you gotta love just hear his timing, just the way he's able to break the story up, you know, in between pitches, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
You don't get that anymore. It's too difficult. You know, we were fortunate. You know, I grew up listening to him and Chick Hearn, and I wasn't even a Laker fan, but I could listen to Chick Hearn, you know, call basketball games. Same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely you say, like, you know, best LA has to offer, and, like, you know, the best broadcast ever broadcast baseball games, of course. And Chick Hearn, you know, obviously is number 2 to broadcast basketball games, right behind Johnny Most, of course. Hello. But so over this past week, was there anybody who kind of made or broke their, availability for that postseason roster?
It's tough. The one guy, I know he can play multiple positions, but the one guy I really don't think should be on the roster is Kike.
You're right.
He just cannot. I mean, I know he hit Bumgarner a little bit,
Right.
but aside from that, he cannot. He's not hitting the ball.
Yeah.
He's just not. He's not making good contact. It's not like he's making hard outs. His exit velocity is not 100, and he's just hitting it at people. He's just not swinging the bat well.
Yeah.
And I really got to think you need someone who can, especially when they face Gio Gonzalez, when they face a lefty, you need someone who's going to be able to hit a little bit.
Yeah. And that's why he was on the team, was because he could hit lefties on a team that couldn't hit lefties, and he's not doing that anymore.
No.
So it's like, okay, that's cool if he's the Mad Bomb Kryptonite, but you can alter your roster before every series.
Yeah.
So, say the Giants get past that wild card game
And then get past the
upset
Cubs. Yeah.
Which I actually don't think is that odd happening. I almost am leaning to that happening. And then, then you can put him on the roster for a Giant series. But knock wood, we're just talking about the Nationals right now.
Yeah, we can't look too far ahead. Yeah,
Exactly.
To me, the Nationals were the best draw, I think. Just because, one, we have beat them. We beat them 4 out of 6 games this year. And they're hurting a little bit.
Yeah.
Wilson Ramos is really good. He was an all-star this year. Great hitting catcher. Was hitting over 300.
Yep.
Destroys left-handed pitching.
I think had the second most bombs for a catcher in baseball behind, obviously,
Grandal.
Yeah.
But the Dodgers are throwing 2 lefties out there right away, and he destroys left-handed pitching.
Yeah.
So it's a terrible break for the Nationals because you don't really want to win just because a guy gets hurt.
Right.
That's no fun. But
That's sports, man.
I know.
That is sports.
Banged up Daniel Murphy. It's who killed the Dodgers last year, killed everybody last year except the Royals.
Right.
In the playoffs last year. So, and almost an MVP type season this year, you could argue too. So, it's you get him a little banged up. Scherzer's still good. I know Gio Gonzalez is a lefty, but I feel like aside from this last week, the Dodgers were actually hitting left, and they even hit Mad Bum a little bit in this last game. They were hitting lefties pretty good.
Puig's hitting lefties.
Yeah. Well, I think Puig's got to be on the question is someone
Versus lefties, he's got to. Oh, he's on the roster.
Yeah.
He's got to be.
What about someone like Tolles?
He's got to be. He's got to be on the roster.
Because see, I'd rather have Tolles than Kike.
Of course.
That
Tolles is a slam dunk.
So,
I mean, the guy, he's the best pitch hitter on the team. First
well, that's
of all.
for sure. Yeah.
I mean, and he's one of the fastest guys on the team, if not the fastest. So it's like, to me, he's a slam dunk. You got to have that guy that can pinch run, can pinch hit. It's like he can, and he just is great in that clubhouse. He's just, everybody loves him. It's like, but we were talking about Puig there. Versus lefties, he's got to probably come up in the order.
Yeah. Actually, he surprisingly he's hit over 300 with 4 home runs since he's been back from the minors.
Yeah.
So his minor league stint.
Is that just off lefties, or is that?
No, that's in general since he's
Okay.
been back up.
Okay.
I forget what he's over 300. I know he's over 300, and I know he's got the 4 home runs. He's another one too. Even though him and Bumgarner have the beef, he does actually hit Bumgarner pretty well.
Yeah. Right.
So it'll be interesting to see. I am curious to see who makes the final roster cuts, especially with the bullpen.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Liberatore not great down the stretch. Josh Fields surprisingly pretty good down the stretch.
He's got a live arm, throws hard.
Yeah, I like Dayton a lot.
Dayton's going to be on there.
Yeah, I don't like Chavez.
Yeah.
I am not a Chavez fan. I really hope he's not.
I don't think he is.
You'll get Jansen, of course. I am curious to see how they kind of move that around. Even if maybe they'll stick a Stripling on there.
Well, it's like you have, 4 starters? So how many relievers does that mean? You can have 7, probably?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's 25. So, 14 position players, 11 pitchers.
So you got to think, obviously Jansen, Blanton, Baez, because, Doc loves them.
Yeah, I know.
I think Dayton's on there. Liberatore is an interesting question because I mean he was lights out the first half of the season.
Then once he got hurt, that was kind of it.
Yeah.
I like Fields. I think Fields' ball moves pretty well. Actually, Alex Wood, since coming off the DL,
There's the lefty that could take Liberatore's place.
yeah, has been really solid. He has not given up a run. He's only given up one hit since he's been back.
He could be in the mix for that fourth spot.
Maybe.
Would they put a third lefty in there?
I don't know. Well, I mean, the way McCarthy pitched against the Giants, which if you don't know, he gave up, I believe, 6 runs in no innings
Right.
the other day.
That was tough.
You don't know if you don't know if you want to take a chance with McCarthy. I don't think you want Anderson starting, especially after the way he started last year in the playoffs. I'm not comfortable really with Anderson going out there. And if we're up if we're up 2-1, maybe.
Yeah.
Even then, I'm not sold.
What do you think about Kirsch on 4 days? On 4 days.
Kirsch will be fine.
Yeah. So maybe they just roll with 3. You know, the thing that I'm actually kind of worried about is Hill's blister situation.
Yeah.
You know, because obviously, you know, we all know how his first stop was delayed with the Dodgers when they traded for him. But it's been flaring up, you know. They've been like pulling him out of outings short of like 100 pitches and stuff just because, you know, he's been getting hot spots and stuff. I mean, I'm kind of scared about
Well,
that.
I was shocked they let him go 5 innings against the Giants. I was actually shocked about that. Kershaw went 7. You know, actually he looked good. I mean, he gave up 2 earned runs, 1 unearned. Kirsch, but he was looking a little more like the old Kirsch. You know, hung a ball to Pagan that got away from him. But it's Hill's the interesting one because he needs to be healthy. Healthy, that's a great 1-2 punch of Kershaw and Hill.
Oh, huge.
And then you come back with Maeda. I know Maeda didn't have a good outing today, but Maeda's going to be solid for that first start. You know, at Dodger Stadium on a week from Monday.
Yeah. It's too bad that the Dodgers couldn't pitch against themselves because, like you say, that 1-2 punch of Kirsch and Hill coming right out of the chute, 2 lefties. Yeah, Maeda. It's too bad he had 2 starts this week that were kind of like, you know, and
well, you hope he's not wearing down.
yeah,
that's the only fear. Yeah,
that's a fear, and it's too bad because, you know, when you think of Corey Seager running away for the Rookie of the Year with the Rookie of the Year award, we were kind of speculating last week that you know, maybe the only guy that could give him a run for his money was Maeda.
16 wins,
You know?
3-something ERA.
If he could have won 1 or 2 this week, 17, 18 wins, I mean, you would have had 18 wins. How could you not
I know it's
give it to a guy like that? You know.
But I do think Seager kind of ran away with that award.
He's pretty good.
You got Seager is probably going to be in the MVP conversation.
He is. I don't think he's going to win that one.
No, but I feel like he'll finish in the top 5 at least. You know, you figure you got your Chris Bryant, you got your Anthony Rizzo. You know, you got
Daniel Murphy,
Seager.
Yeah,
You know, you're not going to give it to anyone on the Giants. So
that's true.
it's you know, of the teams that have made the playoffs, you're not going to give it to anyone on the
Mets.
The Mets. You're not going to give it to anyone on St. Louis.
Yeah.
So you got to figure he's in the top 5.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, give him the Rookie of the Year right away. I mean, just give it to him. But
you know, and we were debating before on the show about, you know, Roberts has a really, really good case to be that Manager of the Year.
yeah, and we were talking earlier. It's pretty much, it seems like a 2-horse race.
Yeah,
between him and Madden, right?
Yeah. Unless what's his name from the Red Sox might have a shot.
Well, they give an AL one and an NL one.
Oh, that's
right?
true. Yeah, I forget,
yeah. So.
Him or Francona. It might be Francona too over there.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny that he's in the mix for that because everybody wants to run that guy out of town in Boston as well too. It's kind of crazy.
But he just won the division.
Yeah,
now you guys
I know.
are playing him in the first round.
Well, when he was sick last year, it's like our bench close came in and everybody was like, we were playing so bad and then we played good under him. But it's like when you look back at him, he was like 7 games over 500 in like a 45 game span. It's like big deal. You know, and we saw there was talent on that roster because obviously what the Red Sox doing this year. But I digress. That was last hour. Hello. But yeah, I mean, granted, the Cubs, they are, they haven't won something in so long.
But they did live up to the expectations. They were the
did.
best team in baseball, like everyone thought they'd be.
Won over 100 games.
Yeah. And that's tough. I just feel like the adversity that Roberts faced as a rookie manager, I don't see how you can't give it to him.
Yeah. It's just, you look at, what, 28?
28 record-setting season of people on the DL.
Crazy.
That doesn't even include the people who went back on the DL. The 28 of all the people who...
The reruns.
The reruns on the DL there. Bringing up young guys, sending them down, to me, it was pretty amazing.
It was amazing, especially when one of those 28 guys is the best pitcher in baseball.
Yeah.
And you lose him for like a 2-month chunk,
75 days. You
weeks.
lost him for 75 days, and you held it together. That's just amazing.
And that's why I'm really excited going into the playoffs.
Yeah,
because he doesn't have all those innings on his arm.
Yeah, everyone who knocks him, when we saw Bumgarner break out a couple years ago, in that World Series, he wasn't carrying the team the whole season. They still had, at that point, he wasn't even their ace.
Yeah.
They still had Kane was still a decent at that point, and it was Kershaw for 4 years, except 3 years minus this year, has had to carry the team on his back.
Yeah.
So the time he gets to the playoffs, he just might not have nothing left.
Right.
It's 162 games. I've been carrying you this whole time. Yeah,
it's funny because that's kind of like they have different MOs. Baumgartner's kind of like he just kind of muddles his way through the regular season and then like shows up in the playoffs, and then Kershaw kind of the reverse. He just owns it, wins the Cy Young, and then hasn't really showed up in the playoffs yet. But I mean, not to say he hasn't showed up. He's pitched good. He just hasn't pitched Kershaw-esque.
Yeah.
And so hopefully we'll get that this season. So what do you think about that National League wild card? Because, the Cardinals, despite them winning their last 4 games, because the Giants swept the Dodgers, they are in there. And so now it's like, it being an even year, and you always hear that stuff from Giants fans. Oh, it's an even year, the Giants, and they're all that. I just wanted them to not be in. So it's kind of disappointing that they weren't able to it was in the Dodgers' grasp to just put them on the shelf. But hey, maybe like you're saying, in the back of your head, they were more scared of Cardinals.
Yeah, I'd be more scared of the team that has knocked me out of the playoffs a couple times.
Yeah.
And the team that kind of owns Kershaw.
Right.
That's...
And everybody on that team hits home runs.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
So to me, that worries me, except their pitching wasn't great this year at all.
Yeah.
That's why the Cardinals struggled. But, you figure the Giants, they got to play in New York. You're going up against Syndergaard. That's just going to be a tough match. I'm hoping the Mets win and knock them out. But if they don't, they still have to go, the winner of that has to go through the Cubs.
Right.
So.
Yeah, Baumgartner, Syndergaard, I'm going to be tuning in for that.
Yeah.
And you look at Baumgartner on the road in the playoffs, it's like he's got like a 0.60 ERA in the playoffs.
But then who are they going to throw out there against the Cubs? Because once you're past Baumgartner, Moore has not pitched that great for them.
Yeah.
They haven't really had great starting pitching.
Probably, you would think Cueto. You think they would go Cueto. And then maybe
Cueto
against Marja.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is,
I'm not scared of that pitching staff though.
Yeah.
That doesn't. If I'm the Cubs, that does not scare me.
Yeah.
They got Chris Bryant, they got Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah.
They got Zorbris, they got all these guys.
Addison Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dexter Fowler. They definitely have some players.
And then you turn around, look at their pitching staff. Arrieta's their 3rd best pitcher this year.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. What do you think about because I think probably Hendricks, is it, or Kendricks?
Yeah, he's there. He's been amazing like the last 2 months of the season.
Yeah, he's probably pitched his way to the Cy Young in the NL. What do you think?
I would think so.
He's got an ERA sub-2.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of slam dunk.
Yeah.
You couple that with how he's pitched in the last 2 months, he's got 16 wins. It's like plays for the winningest team in baseball.
Oh yeah, I think he's got to have it. And you figured Chris Bryant more than likely wind up winning that MVP. I think.
The only thing is like they talk about splitting votes.
Him and Rizzo.
Him and Rizzo, and I'm thinking in the AL, my two boys, Betts and Poppy.
No, they won't give it to Poppy.
Yeah, because they won't give it to
They won't give it to a DH.
But that is kind of, it's you have to look at the prolific year he's having. I mean, and like, it's not like they haven't put some very subpar fielders and have given them an MVP in the past. I mean, it's one thing if like there's a tie break, and you have two guys like, oh, maybe, and like that pushes them over. I guess you could argue that is the instance in this case, but
don't forget who votes.
Writers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just put him in the Hall of Fame. First ballot. I'll look past it.
Oh, he should be.
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine so anyway.
I think for the same reason they're going to leave him off first ballot.
Oh, because he's a DH?
Yep.
Is Edgar Martinez still the only true DH that's in the Hall of Fame?
He's not in.
He's not in.
I don't believe so.
I thought he did get in a couple years ago.
I don't think so. I think Poppy's going to open the door for him.
So there is no true DH then in the Hall of Fame.
Not really, even though you could Frank Thomas for the last third of his career was a DH.
Yeah, but he wasn't. Edgar Martinez, I know, was that first guy who that's what he was like his whole career.
Exactly.
That's
because even when he was a third baseman, he didn't turn into the hitter he was until he was just DH.
Yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you. I think Bryant and Kendricks and the Cubs will just walk away. But you got to give Doc that manager of the year.
I mean, it could be bias on my part, but I've actually talked to Cubs fans who feel like he's earned it more. Like I said, it's for the Cubs to actually live up to the hype is actually really tough. Even the Warriors couldn't do it last year.
Right.
In basketball. So the fact that they've so far regular season have done it is pretty amazing. I mean, yeah, the Warriors did do it regular season, but couldn't do it in the end. Which, you're hoping the Dodgers sneak in there over the Cubs.
There you go. But I think the voting's
the voting's for regular season. But I just think with facing all that adversity, a rookie manager, how can you not reward him? I can't see it. I just can't. It's just so much there. It's just, I would imagine that they have to give it to him. But then again, it's writers who are probably, a lot of them are probably Cubs fans. So...
Joe Madden's already got one of those on his mantle.
He does.
It's like,
and he is a great manager. I remember when he first came out, when Friedman first came to the Dodgers, and Madden opted out of his deal. I thought that for sure meant he was coming to L.A.
Right. But Theo snagged him.
Yeah.
What do you think about Theo's deal he just got? He just got extended for 5 years.
Worth it.
Yeah, right? I mean,
Cubs had patience, and look what happened.
Yeah.
And he got rid of all those bad contracts, the Zambrano contract, the Soriano contract, got rid of all those bad deals. They were patient with him, and this is how he rewarded him.
Yeah.
I mean, in Boston, he started off on a similar path, and then weirdly he started spending money. Remember, didn't he sign Agon and Crawford? He was still there, right?
But I'm wondering how much of that was his doing and how much of that was the brass. That three-headed monster over there, Henry and Lucchino and Werner, they had a tendency to be meddlesome. But I mean, hey, however we got to 3 championships in a 10-year span, I'm fine with it. I don't care if there's backroom bickering.
But Epstein's deal was worth...
It's like 5 years, $50 million.
$50 million, right? Yeah.
So... I mean, he deserves it. I mean, especially if he takes the Cubs to, break their schneid. He's like going to be the best executive of all time in baseball. Well, so it's like lock him up now.
Well, that's like I was, joking because I have a lot of friends who are Kobe fans, and while I respect how good he is, me personally, I think LeBron is the best player I've seen since Jordan, just personally. Mm-hmm. And watching him beat that Warriors team and winning a championship in Cleveland, that's something that Kobe could never have done.
Right.
So I'm always like, that one championship's worth like 3. So like if the Cubs win this one, it's worth like 4 to that team.
Yeah.
It's
true. But Kobe scored 60 in his last game. Yeah, on 60 shots. Okay. Sheesh. Oh man.
But I mean, to me, that's Epstein. I mean, I wish that's someone who you wish the Dodgers had. But Friedman, for his credit, like we said before on the show, adding that depth that he added this year. And then even, I know we got rid of Norris, but Norris had a lot of solid starts before he got hurt, before he went on the DL.
Yeah.
A lot of solid starts. You know, he made the Reddick, and Reddick hit 400 in the last month of the season. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah, he did come on.
Yeah, and Rich Hill, you know, was great for them, you know, since he came over. So he has made some, I mean, he's not on the Epstein level, but he has made some sneaky good moves.
We always say Friedman, and we leap over the GM.
Well, come on, it's
Fahad
we all know it's
Zadi?
his puppet. That's
Still, attaboy to him too. I mean, you know, it's a team effort.
Yeah, I know.
Is it
Farhad
Fahad Zadi?
Zadi, yeah.
My pronunciation is not so good. Oh man. Oh boy. But who like kind of impressed you this year for the Dodgers that kind of came out of nowhere? I mean, we talked about Tolles. He obviously did, but you know, I mean, I guess you could say Seager. I mean, for him to come on like in his rookie year and like do what he did. I mean, we all knew he was going to be a stud, but to be an MVP candidate,
Yeah, and a better fielder than I thought.
right?
Remember when he first came up last year? I don't know if you remember. He made a lot of errors, like kind of bad ones, when he first kind of came up. And
Yeah, because they were talking about maybe him being a third baseman ultimately.
And watching him this year cover ground, make nice plays, nice throws, you know, it was that to me was impressive. More about we knew he could swing the bat. What was impressive to me was that his fielding, I think, got a lot better. You know, but I'll tell you who impressed me, even though he was still good last year, was Justin Turner. He really came on. He kind of, you know, became a little bit of a clutch hitter. Surprisingly, hits righties better than lefties.
Yeah, reverse split.
Yeah, you know, it's which was I remember Bochy in not this past 3 games, but when they played the Giants the week before, when they blew that game in the game in the first game of that series, they blew the game in the 9th inning.
Yeah.
He brought in a lefty to pitch to Turner, even though Turner hits lefties worse, or hits hits righties. It was the fact that I'm getting confused.
Righties.
Yeah,
A righty.
Turner kills righties.
Yeah.
Doesn't hit lefties that well. And what's his name? Brought in brought in a right-handed pitcher to pitch to him, and he wound up getting a hit. And it was one of those things where, well, if you would have done the homework, you would have known that you should have brought in a left-handed pitcher to pitch to Turner. You know, it's like, and that's normally something that they do. That's why it was an odd move.
I think the Giants bullpen has been so much in shambles this year that he's just kind of going with whoever's throwing the ball, you know, pretty well at that
could
time.
be. I mean,
it's amazing they were able to kind of sneak in. I mean, they had such a horrible second half, and you know, to get in there. The thing that scares me about them is, you know, obviously it's an even year, but their biggest, I know you hate their starters, but the biggest thing has been their bullpen. And the thing with bullpens is they're very fickle. You know, look at the Dodgers bullpen. They weren't really any world beaters last year. And then this year, without many changes, they pitch better.
So it's sometimes I mean, we've seen it with closers. I remember Chris Perez 1 year for the Indians was lights out,
right?
Sub-2 ERA, 40-something saves, couldn't pitch the next year. Right. Then he came to the Dodgers. He was already washed up. He was 2 years removed from you know, an amazing season, an all-star season. It's bullpen. The way bullpens come and go is amazing. Look at the Royals this year. The bullpen was terrible,
right?
And that was their strength last year. It's you know, and it's to me it's just amazing how that happens. How a bullpen can go from being, you know, how one time when you brought in the bullpen, everyone cringed. The Dodgers saying, "Oh no, we're bringing in the bullpen. It's not Jansen. What do we do?"
Now it's like you look around the NL playoff teams. It's like their bullpen is probably the best.
Yeah,
the strength.
Overall, I would say it is.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from Chapman with the Cubs, and Chapman did not have a great season this year overall between the two clubs. So I still think that's a little bit of a hole. Although they have that
It is a hole.
They have that one pitcher who I think is very underrated that they don't use a lot. And then blanking on his name, the Cubs.
Travis Wood? No, they use him a ton.
It's I am blanking on his name. They have a guy I really like who it's going to come to me at some point.
It'll come to you. Just blurt it off. You do. But yeah, I hear you. I think that's where the Cubs can be had, and that seventh and eighth
Yeah.
innings, sixth, seventh, and eighth innings. Once you get past their starters, and Arrieta's has looked human.
Yeah.
This year.
Must be off the roids.
Hey, hello, gets off that cycle, wins a Cy Young, gets off the drugs. Come on, man.
It's like in the AL, the team that to me is a little scary because all they need to do is go about 6 innings. Is you get to the Baltimore bullpen. If Baltimore gets to their pen, especially with Britton who can pitch 2 innings,
Yeah.
you get to that pen and they're tough.
And they got Brock, who made the All-Stars this year. He's lights out, too.
So all of a sudden, you got 7, 8, 9 taken care of. So, if that starter for the Orioles, I know they got to play Toronto. But if they get in there and their starting pitching does just enough, that's a scary team.
It is a scary team because they got a really powerful lineup. Toronto has a powerful lineup too, but they have not been hitting for like the past 3 weeks, and that's why they had to kind of limped in. But the Red Sox couldn't get it done today, so Toronto will actually host that game, host Baltimore in the AL wild card. And I'm pulling for Toronto because I want to see that Toronto-Texas rematch and just have just Joey Bats and Rougned Odor beat the hell out of each other.
Now that the Giants have to go through the Cubs, it would be pretty awesome for the Giants and the Dodgers to meet in that NL championship. And we'd have home field.
I don't think it's out of the question. I do not think it's out of the question.
We'd have the home field. That'd be pretty amazing to see.
Vinny, you got to come back. Vin, you got to come back if that comes out.
I talked about this with some friends. I don't know how you feel. I feel Vinny's going to be like Johnny Carson when Carson retired. You just aren't going to hear. You just aren't going to hear from him.
Yeah.
He will just be gone. He's not going to show up at the stadium very much. He won't. I think you just won't hear from him. I think he'll just quietly, go about his business. And I'm like, that's actually to me just kind of, that John Wayne walking away in the sunset. I like it.
Yeah.
It may, and then it brought an aura around Carson that he didn't show up anywhere for 10 years before he passed away. That he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
He did a Simpsons episode and he did that one little bit for, was it Letterman? I believe when Letterman took over, or when Letterman got his own show, he was packed up his desk. He didn't say anything. He just packed up his desk. Like he was sitting at the desk. Letterman came in and he just looked around and he packed up his stuff and walked out. Never said a word. I was like, that's classic Carson right there. I feel like Vinny's going to be the same way. You're not going to hear from him. He's just going to stay away.
It's a good comparison because they both are the best at what they did.
Yeah, and I really do think that that's the way Vinny's going to go. I think he's just going to kind of quietly
I can see
go
that.
away.
It's not like he's retiring in his late 60s. The dude's in his late 80s. So he deserves to just be on a Baca lounger watching the game on TV for once,
And like he said, in his speech where he said, in your 60s, you have to think of something else to do. I'm 89. I'm going to try to live.
Oh, you gotta love that. What do you think about this one-game playoff, the old wild card playoff?
Yeah, I have some issue with it. My feeling is it helps the team who wins. It helps get their bats. The bats come around a little quicker because they've faced actual live pitching and always
interesting.
They face a really good pitcher on top of it always.
Right.
Now, granted, you burn your best pitcher.
Yeah, that's what everybody points to. This is an interesting thing you bring up.
But in today's baseball, especially when you watch a team like the Royals and even the Giants last couple of years, getting to the bullpen seems to be it. So really burning your best pitcher doesn't seem to affect too much. But having those bats with some time, getting their timing back a little bit and doing things like that seems to help that team. I mean, we've seen wild card teams run the table.
Right.
It's, to me, that's, we almost saw, Houston could have beat the Royals last year.
Yeah.
So Houston, and they choked. They blew it in the, then they blow it, I believe, in that one game. Yeah. So it was, to me, if you get your bats getting the timing back just a little bit faster and you steal that first game on the road, that's huge.
Yeah. I wonder. I think I kind of like it just because, coming to today, there was 4 teams in each league that could stake a claim to the playoffs,
I agree. It makes things more interesting. I just feel like it sort of gives the winner of that game just a little bit of an advantage, despite burning their best pitcher.
Right.
Hitting wise, it gives them a little bit of an advantage.
Oh, that's an
And
interesting
sometimes
take.
that's all you need.
Yeah.
You know, your bats come around a little quicker because don't forget, I mean, Dodgers are going to be off now for a week.
Right.
You know, Washington will be off for a week. The Cubs are going to be off for a week. So it's just one of those things. You know, it's always, to me, it's like in the NFL. That team that gets the bye a lot of times doesn't win.
Right.
You know, because now everything's a little off. You're just a little bit slower now at everything. You know, how many times have we seen a 6 seed, a 5 seed run the table?
Right.
You know, or at least, you know, or even make it to the Super Bowl. We've seen it a few times.
Yeah.
You know, so wasn't last year one of the rare times we see the 2 number ones actually get in the Super Bowl? I think was one of the rare times. So it's, to me, sometimes when you get that little bit of timing back quicker, it can make a world of difference.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, it seems like after that last day, like, of the season back in 2011, where the Red Sox and the Atlanta Braves like completed 2 of the most epic collapses in all of baseball history, and those other teams like snuck in, and that was widely regarded the best regular season.
Yeah, I remember that.
Day,
Yeah.
and, you know, so it seems like they're just trying to recreate that now with this extra wild card. But
The infamous Papelbon game for the Red Sox.
Yes.
Didn't that wind up being his last game?
sure was.
Yeah.
Sure was. The one thing that I do like about it that comes into effect now is winning your division actually kind of means something.
Yeah.
You know, and you're not in that 1-game playoff. You're like, okay, we're in a series. Whereas a team before, as it was when the wild card, a team that didn't win their division was in a series, you know? And it's just like, so I like it from that aspect.
Yeah, I agree, because I wish the NBA would do something, because it's, granted, an 8 seed doesn't beat a 1 seed, but the fact that half the teams get into the playoffs,
Yeah.
it makes it less, you know, that's why Popovich can sit guys for games at a time, because I just got to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, they got to change that. They got to change it in hockey too, because
Yeah.
it should be kind of like around a third of the teams make it, not a half.
No, I agree.
know?
It's
So, so now with 5, that's how it is in baseball, right?
yeah, only 10 teams technically get in out of the
30
that's
teams.
yeah, so it's a third. It's a third. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what it should be like, you know. So looking ahead to this playoff schedule, Dodger fans, Dodgers will not play until Friday at Washington, and that'll be Kershaw versus Scherzer. And then Saturday, Hill versus Tanner Roark, who's been good for them.
Yeah, Tanner Roark's been really
He's
good.
been really good.
So he's very quietly, I think, next to Hendricks, been the second best pitcher in the National League down the stretch.
Okay. Yeah.
He's been his last few starts have been very. He's a tough pitcher. That's not going to be, you know. And then they're going to throw out Gonzalez here in L.A. right against Maeda, I believe.
Yes.
That's the plan.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
He's had kind of a down year, but
But he is a lefty.
he is a lefty, and then that's why he's probably getting the nod. Strasburg, is he done for the playoffs, or could he be in the next round?
I don't think he's done. I know he's not going to be in this round, but I don't think he's done.
Yeah,
I think there's hope he can pitch again.
Yeah.
We know Ramos is out for sure.
definitely.
You know, Strasburg for this series is out for sure. And then you have a banged up Murphy and a banged up Harper. So, you know, it'll be.
One guy to keep an eye on the Nationals who's really kind of lit the world on fire, and maybe if he was up for the whole season, could have gave Corey Seager a run for his money. Trey Turner.
Yeah.
That kid's a stud.
He is. He's a good player.
And I don't know what the minimum at bats is or what have you. If he's considered a rookie next year, he's got to be the favorite to win the Rookie of the Year next year.
Yeah, you know.
Or I think, will they call it the Corey Seager Award next year?
It'll be how I forget how many this would be for the Dodgers now. Rookie.
I know, right?
I believe they have the record as it is.
It's got to be.
You know, I remember that.
I mean, what, they went 5 straight?
Yeah, they had the Caros, Piazza, Nomo, Hollinsworth,
Hollinsworth.
and Mondesi. I believe all those 5 guys won, right?
Yeah.
I know that's not in the right order, but I believe all those 5 guys won.
Yeah. That was close to the order, I think.
I think I mixed up. I think Mondesi was before Nomo or Nomo Mondesi. Mondesi was before Hollinsworth. I know that.
Okay.
But I remember Todd Hollinsworth somehow winning Rookie of the Year, and then like he wasn't even on the team like the next year.
Oh, craziness. Oh boy. Anything else you want to say before we get out?
No, I mean I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm curious to really see the roster construction.
Yes.
That's especially the pen.
When do they have to announce that by?
I don't know actually. It's a good. I should have looked that up before.
Yeah, no worries.
But I will be very curious to see how who winds up being on the team.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see because to me, if they're only going to throw out Gio Gonzalez, there's no reason to put Kike Hernandez on that roster.
Yeah.
If really there's not.
Well, he's not hitting lefties anymore.
Yeah,
he should be just put in mothballs and broken out. Break glass when you face Mad Bomb.
Yeah.
Basically, he's the Mad Bomb kryptonite. He shouldn't be on a roster versus anybody else.
But see, I agree with you a little bit. Against the lefty, I think you might have to move Puig up.
Yeah.
Move him up a little bit. Maybe move Seager down a bit. The Seager can hit lefties.
Yeah.
But maybe switch it around a little bit just to try to get something going.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing that they've been so abysmal. I was convinced that it would average out at some point.
Right.
That they can't keep being this bad, but
Yeah. Another guy this year that, before we sign off, that really deserves props because he went above and beyond anything we could hope for, and we laud him on this program pretty regularly. Chase Utley. I thought that guy was done. I thought the Dodgers were ridiculous to bring him back. And
so
he's
did I,
been
actually.
great.
Yeah.
He's been great. And such glue for that team.
And playing a great second base.
Yes. Did you see that ridiculous play he made?
Face down on the ground. Yes.
So that's like in the top 5 plays of the entire season.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Man.
No, it's actually, who I thought impressed this year, even though some people will disagree, is actually Jacques Peterson.
Yeah.
I know he only hit about a little over 245, I think around there. What, 26 home runs, 27 home runs?
Yeah.
26 home runs. Drew a lot of walks. And he actually, this past couple weeks, I think he's averaged like a walk a game.
He's come along. They might have rushed him a little bit, getting him to the bigs last year. And so you wonder if he's going to be a guy just a power hitter that never will hit for average. But I think he can grow into a guy that hits 280,
So do I. And I think that even if he winds up being a much better fielding Adam Dunn, I don't think you lose in that case.
Right.
A guy who can jack 25 to 40 home runs, play an excellent center field, draws a lot of walks.
Strike out 200 times.
Yeah,
Hopefully he doesn't do that.
But I would like to. I actually thought he had a very solid season, despite the 245 average. I thought his season was actually very solid.
Right.
And he struggled when he started off. He started off pretty bad. So it was nice to see. I think he's kind of coming into form. I think you're right. I think he was rushed last year. They kept him in that leadoff spot way too long.
Yep.
And I think this year he kind of found his footing a little bit better. And I think he will get better next year. I think next year if he hits 260, he's going in the right direction. Yeah. So you gotta love that.
Love that. Gang, we're going to be here with you through all the Dodgers postseason. Sunday nights, check us out. Usually coming in around 9, 11-ish Pacific time. For Joshua Gershon, he's at Gersh13 on social media, so hit him up during the week, especially when the postseason rosters come out. For Joshua Gershon, I am Mike Conley. It's been another edition of Dodgers Wrap 360. Thanks for hanging in with us, gang. Go Dodgers.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.